In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a bar plot to examine questions in a survey. So let's take the first question here as an example. This question is a happiness question. So it asks people how happy they are with things in their life. So they can be very happy, they can be pretty happy, they can be not too happy, or it could be they don't know. Given those four options, the first thing we want to know is basically how many people choose each option. To do this, we'll use the table function in R. So you can see here, so we can create a table for the variable Q1. So Q1 is basically the response for the first question. If you look at this column, we have some people choose 2, some people choose 1, and a few others choose 3, right? So those are not too happy, and most of them, most of the subjects here, actually we have 30 here. So most of the 30 individuals choose either very happy or pretty happy. And actually, let's see what are the exact numbers of individuals choose each option. So the table function basically gives us that result. And here, when we use table function, we specify which variable we want to create the frequency distribution. So we're listing the frequencies for each option in this variable Q1. So data $sign Q1 means it's coming from the data set. It's data set we just created, and it's the Q1 variable. And we also give a name to the table created. That'll be the happiness table. So let's run this and see what we get. You can see we actually didn't get anything. This is because R only created a table called happiness. It doesn't display the table. To display the table, we need to tell R to call the object happiness. And so we can type happiness here, and then you can see the distribution, the frequency distributions here. So 12 people, so we have 3 options, 1, 2, 3, and 12 people choose option 1. 15 people choose option 2, and 3 people choose option 3. So that's the distribution for each of the options we have on this question. So actually, nobody chose 9. So everybody knows how happy they are. It's just like it's either very happy, pretty happy, or not too happy. Okay, so that's how we can find the frequency distribution, and based on this distribution, then we can run the bar plot. So the bar plot is plotted against a distribution against the table here, or against a distribution variable here. So that'll be happiness here. And you can see here, so to run the bar plot, we use the bar plot function. It will tell what kind of information do we run the bar plot against. So here we're running the bar plot against the happiness distribution. So the frequencies count here. And then we can specify a few parameters to make this bar plot. You can see here we have min equal to. So that this parameter specifies the title of the bar plot. So we call that the bar plot, the overall happiness these days. And then we can also specify the names for the bars, because we have 3 options. We have 1, we have 1, 2, 3. So here that will correspond to the very happy, pretty happy, and not too happy. And then we can specify those as the names argument. So names arg means names argument. And then so the C is a combination function. So we're combining the the 3 terms as the name for the 3 options. So if we run this whole line, and then you can see we have the bar plot created. So the title is overall happiness these days for the subjects, and then we have 12 people choose very happy, 15 choose pretty happy, and 3 choose not too happy. So it's very straightforward when we look at the bars here. So that's how we can create a bar plot for a particular question. And similarly, we can do the get the bar plot for other questions. So let's take another example here. So we have question 9 as well. So thinking about what you and your family paid for your college education, would you say your education has paid off for you? Yes or no? So they could choose either yes or no. So if it is yes, that means they get more from the education than what they have paid off. Or no, that'll be they didn't get what they want. So basically it's kind of a waste of money to spend on college education. So let's see what would be the distribution of people choosing each option here. And again, we'll use the table function. So we call the table to be created as payoff. So that'll be whether college education paid off or not. And then if we run this and then type payoff here, you can see we have 2 options. All the subjects choose either 1 or 2. And actually, the majority here choose 1. So 28 people choose option 1, and only 2 people think their education didn't pay off. So that's actually pretty much, it seems that pretty much education is worth the money. And then we can do similar things for other questions. And let me mention a particular example here. So when we create the bar plot, we only have 1 question here, right? Sometimes if we want to compare the bar plot for different questions, then we can plot them in the same picture or in the same chart. So let's see how we can do this. I think the example here is question 22. So let's go to question 22. And this question asked people, actually under this question there are 4 aspects. So still thinking back when you were in college, do you think any of the following things would have better prepared you to get the kind of job you wanted or not? So this question asking you the subjects whether these 4 things actually helped them to if they could do those 4 things, would that help them to better prepare for their current job? So if suppose they could have chosen a different major, is that going to make an impact on or is that going to be helpful for their current job or not? Or they could have gained more work experience at school, and would that be more helpful in terms of finding a job? So it's like this. So given those 4 aspects, how would that or if that would better prepare them to get the job they want now? And for sure, we want to compare the difference between those among those 4 aspects. And to do this, we have to first specify. Let me close this bar plot here. So we need to specify the chart we want to have. So in this case, we have this function, the par function. So par function basically tells R to create the bar plot in a certain way. So the way that we're specifying here is that we have a 2 by 2 matrix. So MF row means we're creating the bar plot into a 2 by 2 matrix. That means we have 4 bar plots on the same graph, and there are 2 on the top and then 2 at the bottom. So that's what this line of code tells R to do. So let's run this first. Yes, so you can see there's nothing yet. So we'll basically insert the bar plot, one here, and one here, and then one here. So that's what function does. Then the first thing to do is to create the bar plot for the first aspect, or for the first thing, which is choosing a different major. So choosing a different major would better prepare them for their current job. So let's run, again we'll run the table function, and then we'll run the bar plot for this line. And now you can see it's a smaller chart because we'll have 4 different plots here. But you can see here, so actually quite a lot of people chose no. So they don't think choosing a different major would better prepare them for the job they wanted. That's the distribution for this option. And we can do similar things. Oh, by the way, so you can see here we have a title in 2 lines. So we break the title into 2 lines. And to do this in R, we have to specify the backslash n. So that means we're breaking the title. So you can see here, so we have men equals to everything in the quotation mark, and but we're breaking this whole title into 2 parts, and then the backslash n does this job. So it breaks down the line into when it's after the job. So break the line here, and then you see it's the second line when we start from E. And then we just do the same, repeat the same thing for the other options. And then if we run the second one, that gives us another bar plot. And it's whether gaining more experience would better prepare them for the job. And you can see actually it's a tie here. So some people say yes, and some people said no, and I think one person said maybe. So actually there's some disagreement here in this part. And let's see the third one, which is if they could have started to look for work sooner. Actually the majority I think says no, so they don't think starting to look for jobs sooner would not help much in terms of preparing them for the job they actually want. And the last one is studying harder. So again, some people said yes, some people said no, and there's it's kind of a close tie here. So that's how we can plot 4 bar plots in the same chart, and then it gives you a more kind of structured way to present different plots on the same topic. So it's a better plot than you have 4 different ones. And that's how we can use bar plot to examine a question from the survey. And you can do similar things for other questions, and because they have only a few options, then most of the time the bar plot will work.